Jiro here for Umbra Games with a review of X-Men Origins Wolverine, played on Xbox 360. So, if you know much about Wolverine and or Deadpool, chances are you're like me and really didn't care for the core story or plot decisions, or you were just tired of Fox shoving Wolverine's origin story down your throat during Fox's X-Men Origins Wolverine movie that was in theaters in 2009. I mean, of course we all love Wolverine, especially Hugh Jackman's portrayal of him, and honestly he's going to be pretty hard to replace as his contract winds down. So in this game you take control of James Howlett, aka Logan, aka the Wolverine, half the time in the movie's opening 10-minute sequence stretched out to about 5 hours of African jungle gameplay, and the other half as Wolverine escapes from Alkali Lake where the adamantium was added to his bones, the hour-long drawn-out level with the poorly acted Gambit at the end, an exploration of a Sentinel facility with Mystique, before finally ending up on the island where you faced off against a Deadpool that couldn't even get Ryan Reynolds on it a second time. Thought that was kind of odd though, as they did get Liev Schreiber to reprise his role as Sabretooth, Will.i.am as Wraith, but not Reynolds as Wade Wilson. The movie and game were both released in 2009, so I wonder if that was part of the original plan? Who knows, I've tried to do some research but came up empty-handed. X-Men Origins Wolverine's gameplay is heavily influenced by games like Devil May Cry and God of War. Wolverine has 2 attack buttons, I guess for simplicity's sake we'll just call them a light and a heavy attack, and there are various combos that can be performed by hitting the different button combinations. One thing that sets Wolverine apart from the crowd is his ability to jump from foe to foe using a targeted lunge. Once an opponent is successfully jumped on, Wolverine can slice them up on the ground or throw them up at other foes and immediately jump and do it again. This is especially helpful when you face a bunch of soldiers at the same time, all using firearms. Using his claws, Logan can also parry and counterattack, especially helpful with enemies that like to block a lot. Nearly every area has a place for environmental attacks as well, where Wolverine can send foes flying to their death or impale them on random spikes or forklifts in the area. Wolverine also builds up rage by defeating enemies and inanimate items that provide orbs to fill the rage meter. The rage attacks are unlocked as you progress throughout the game for a total of 4. Every foe defeated also contributes to Wolverine's overall experience, where he gains levels, rather painfully it sounds like, increasing health and awarding points that can be spent on powering up the claws, health, rage, and rage moves. The more of a specific type of enemy you kill, the more Wolvie's combat reflexes are tuned, doing more damage when encountered the next time. There are a decent amount of enemy types in the game, each with a behavioral similar counterpart in the African flashback levels and modern day, from the generic soldier type, to the melee guys, to the Goliath Wendigo type guys. Finally, Wolverine has a quick kill where he can pick up a normal or weakened enemy, and press the heavy attack button and then hit it again when the claws flash, eviscerating his foe in a particularly gory fashion. The game's achievements award you for performing kills in all of the various means provided, giving you a reason to use Logan's repertoire. Wolverine has his world-famous regenerating powers that help him recover from virtually any injury. The skin falling away is nice, revealing the adamantium skeleton and muscle tissue underneath. If you take enough damage to delete the health bar, you then have to be careful not to take additional damage, draining the circle containing Logan's heart, so hiding a few minutes in cover will help build the bar back up. His regenerating wife beater tank top was also an odd feature, ripped off his back more often than not, and somehow just showing up in the next cutscene or on a level up. It was even more impressive when he was wearing his leather jacket and the wife beater would kind of get ripped without even harming the jacket. Now you can also use Wolverine's feral senses to see invisible enemies, find dangerous environmental objects to avoid, help find a path by following the blue lines to lead you to your next objective, or use it to see which pieces of the environment can be climbed or scaled. Now there's several collectibles to be found in the game, including dog tags, which Wolverine collects seemingly indiscriminately from whatever soldier happens to be lying around that Wolverine didn't kill himself. There are health power-ups that add 5 health to Wolverine's maximum each time one is collected. There are also mutagens, which can be equipped in a slot, starting with 1 and up to 3 unlockable. These mutagens further alter Logan's powers and abilities and offer things like increased experience and health. There are also a few Wolverine statues to be found hidden throughout the game, which unlock a danger room battle against that version of Wolverine, which once beaten allows you to use that costume. There are also a couple of forced Easter eggs that I ran into, including Frostmourne, the Lich King sword from World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King, with a skeleton and a quest exclamation above his head, giving the achievement, wow, which, kind of makes sense since Blizzard Entertainment became a subsidiary of Activision around that time. But I am a little confused on the cake Easter egg, considering Activision had nothing to do with Portal. In fact, their major rival, EA, distributed Valve's game on console. I guess they were just going for the raging meme of the time about the cake being a lie. Now, there are some very obnoxious platforming sections, and it seems like most of it was just due to some weird collisions and weird, nearly useless feeling double jump. Also had a few character collisions here and there. But overall, the combat in this game is pretty fun. We were due for a bloody Wolverine game since the movies have worked on keeping a PG-13 rating. There are tons of dismemberment moves and gallons of blood to spill. Figuring out tactics for each enemy type kept things entertaining, especially as the types come at you all at once in some of the later levels. It is a little odd seeing how fast the claws can take off body parts, but then some enemies take a severe amount of punishment, especially in the extended duration claw spin, and still come out unscathed. The boss fights were a little bit of a letdown too, either being too easy at a hack and slash, or just performing the same mechanics monotonously over and over. The Gambit fight was very poorly designed. It was often difficult to tell which stage of the fight you were in. Was this the deflect card stage, or the throw, or the mangle, or sometimes he just decided not to take damage from the 6 sharp claws entering his face. Unfortunately, his claws are so sharp though, even without the adamantium, there's often a distracting amount of screen tearing, particularly during the rage moves. You know how a lot of games have that little icon that when you boot up the game it warns you that it's auto-saving and not to shut off your system while it's going on? I mean, I know it's a petty annoyance, but that's an awful lot of text for something to be on screen every time it happens on a stage. Use an icon. All things considered though, X-Men Origins Wolverine has a lot going for it, and it's a lot more fun than a game based on a movie has a right to be. Oddly, it's quite opposite of the Deadpool game, where the gameplay got tired fast, but the story and content were fantastic. I mean, I pretty much have to say the gameplay of Wolverine was fairly solid, while the story was cliched and uninteresting. Not to mention a very stupidly offensive last boss.
Wait.
And some other weird attempts to change Marvel lore, like this stupid scene referencing what I would assume is Nightcrawler's parents.
That's my son you're carrying in there.
Which got the mother right, but there's no way a black-eyed pea
What you think of the name, Kurt?
could be a father to my beloved Nightcrawler. X-Men Origins Wolverine is an action hack and slash game mixed with extremely light puzzle solving and platforming. Rated on my scale, it ends up at a 55 out of 100. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching.